again. Good evening. Good evening. Who brings you a breakfast bagel every morning but peas in your coffee when you're not looking? It's us. American Scouser TV Thursday night podcast, ASTV for the cool kids, and the four handsome baldies, the Baldwils, as we should now be known. I want to be Ringo. And we're joined by Brian, Cozzy, and Sir Z. Gentlemen, how are we? I mean, we should all be top of the world, really, shouldn't we? 13 points ahead. Arsenal looking like they're falling apart, as they always do. And Lego Head going into a meltdown, talking about dead bodies. And, let's have a look at his laptop. And, flying. We've got a good, decent break for the boys until we play the Champions League. It's all good. But we did a post-match. We don't need to dissect tactically that game yesterday. But just from a fan's point of view, Cozzy, Brian, and Susie, we start with Cozzy. How are we feeling? It's great to be Liverpool fans again, isn't it?
Just amazing, huh? Like it really is. It's kind of said this on the post match. It's either Liverpool win the league by a point, lose the league by a point, or win it by 20. There's no in between. You just don't win the league by 6 points. We just go, no, always just take the league off everyone this year and win the league in April. It's just amazing, like, it really is, and it's unexpected, and that's why it feels even more amazing. It's just nice just to sit there and watch the lads, even when they go 1-0 down, if that ever happens, and there's just no drama. There's just no, we'll beat it anyway. And there's various different ways that we'll beat it, and the manager deserves a ton of credit. It really does.
Brian, how are you feeling? It's, for us on Thursdays, we're having so much to complain about for the past year. One particular player, let's be honest, but we don't have any complaints. Arnie Slot knows what time it is, and I'm sure he will reveal all by the end of the season. But we don't have to have any complaints because we're just doing so magnificently well, aren't we?
Oh, I'm on top of the world. And I'm happy that Gravenberg will actually have a break for a weekend.
I think he's playing in the under-8 games.
I'll tell you what, I would go there and tell him, hey, kid, just sit in a hot tub, cold tub, do something right there, but don't even walk. Just go there, get your legs relaxed. Because that poor kid's had his legs run off of him for the past this season right there. But no, I feel great, no complaints at all right there. I think that match was just handled very professionally, and I think that that we showed where we're at and why we're not leaving that spot.
Susie, go for the heart.
Always, yes. I'm still nervous, but the preseason show, I did say we were going to win, and I know half-heartedly, well, you're going to say that, but I really. Klopp, he laid the foundations for us to be in this situation. And, we're here through no fault of our own. It's not our fault Arsenal players are injured. We've gone through that. It's not our fault that Man City did a Dalglish 1.0 or Sir Alex Ferguson where he just didn't look to the future and try to replace his aging players. That's not our problem. That's not our fault. Enjoying the ride, like Cozzy had said back in October and November, Liverpool, the only thing that can get my emotions up and down. So, but yeah, enjoying it yesterday, just watching these Arsenal fans come up with every excuse under the book, Lego heads, head dropping off. And it's just nice that people want us to win this league. We've just gone through years of people hating us. And now, Arsenal have taken that mantle for, where everyone wants us to win the league, except for Everton and Man United, obviously. And we're going to have a parade. We're actually going to have a parade where we can actually celebrate the Premier League. And it's a shame. Hopefully, Klopp gets on the bus. I don't think he will. I think out of his own.
He's too busy making Trivago ads or whatever.
But out of his own humbleness, he won't get on there. But who should be on there is Joel. What's his name? The one who rebuilt our midfield last year. He should be.
Get him on there.
He should be on that first bus.
I agree. I think he should be holding the title.
He should be on that bus.
I definitely should have Endo on his shoulders as Endo's lifting the title.
Yeah.
Like Endo's just there on his shoulders.
If we win the Champions League and the Premier League this year, they should put him on that flag. He's at the end of all the managers.
His head. I just smack his head.
Like the Benson and Hedge is gone.
Yeah. After that, your spreadsheet nonsense.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic feeling for all of us. But let's get what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about Man City. Apparently, the president of La Liga, is pulling some strokes there. But it's a bit of a weird story as far as I could make out from what I read about it. We laugh at Man United because I didn't realise, I was talking to my dad back home in Ireland, who is a City fan, so I had to laugh at him. Despite his ill health, you want to push him forward closer to the door there for supporting such a lousy team. But at a proper one, he was there at the kickbacks in the 60s with what's their face, Mike Summerby and all those. He's a proper Man City fan. But I didn't realize they were that close to the bottom. Like when looking at the table, the stark reality of it is they look like a relegation team in everything. So we get to laugh them for a bit. Eddie Howe and his bestest matest, Jason Tyndall, we can have a chat about them because it feels a little bit like they've hit the wall with that particular management group, Newcastle, because they certainly have the money to buy the success. And then room 433, can Brian break his duck? Probably not. I'm in charge of the entire executive, so I get to say what happens. But let's talk about City here. Cozzy. I don't know how much you read about it, but what's his name? Javier Tebas or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah.
Something like that says, they've reported City to the European Commission, which is part of the EU. My confusion is that Britain isn't in the EU anymore. So what possible, reach can they have over Manchester City if they're not putting their influence on UEFA, which I don't believe is something UEFA will go for, because they're very much against government entities putting pressure on leagues for results. Is this just either blowing hot air to look relevant, or is it something that maybe conspiracy theory hat on have something to do with the Super League in the future?
I think it's hard. So the definitely complaint was made 2 years ago, and it's only coming out now, which is a bit weird. And then in terms of the EU, I don't think it makes much difference because you sign up to UEFA rules, I think, which is kind of a part of the UEFA EU kind of bandwagon. Let's say UEFA will follow EU standards. For example, when you play in Europe, you need to sign documentation to say you're going to follow UEFA standard rules. And let's get this right, by the way, because people forget this. Man City were fined for breaking the rules. The only reason why they got allowed back into Europe is because some of the rules that they broke were time barred. And that's why they took that to the European Commission. They said, oh, yeah, you're right, they're time barred. It says in the paperwork 10 years. These are after 10 years, you're allowed back in. By the way, the funny thing is, the year that they won the Champions League, they were meant to be banned. That's absolutely insane. So that's why they get the €30 million for the rest of the stuff. Fine. Of course, not a lot of money for City, at least. So there's that. And then, if you're La Liga, mate, let's just say you wouldn't want to take on Manchester City in terms of lawyers and stuff like that unless you've got some kind of bulletproof evidence. Surely. You must know that you've got something. You've got something to go on. Their argument is that they have basically too many companies as a part of the City group, and that's how they're circumventing this kind of stuff. I think the Savinho deal will be looked into in 10 years. For example, sign them basically from your parent club for any price that you can name. Do you know what I mean? So I think they signed for 30 odd million, and I reckon if Liverpool would have wanted them, would have been 70. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a part of that as well. So that kind of stuff is going to be stopped in the future. But it's interesting. It's just another thing into this Man City kind of problems that they have going on right now. And again, we keep getting told that we're going to hear by the end of the season. Well, the end of the season is in 3 months, and I would love to hear what's going on in terms of, will Jurgen Klopp be on that bus, Macka, with 2 of the league titles in his hand and go, fuck,
that'd be great, wouldn't it?
You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but listen, that's getting me hopes up. City are a weird one, fella. They really are, and they're having a weird season on the pitch as well. I actually think they've done the right thing with signing the players that they did. But then the other part of me is are they signing those players thinking that they're going to get bad, or thinking that they're going to get a transfer ban? If you get them in now, do a 2-year transfer ban, like Chelsea did. Chelsea did this, got a transfer ban, and then all the players are there. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting. It really is, and I'm going to keep an eye on this one as well.
So, for City, it's almost like an old BBC drama or something like that. Like there's always just a bit of stink coming out of every scene. They really feel, as much as we hate Manchester United and their riches, they never really, I'm talking about the 90s. They became a stock shareholding kind of club, a PLC, whatever you call it, and you know, left everybody else in their dust financially. But outside of the web stuff, which was I always pull my trousers leg up and do the funny handshakes when it came to Howard Webb and Alex Ferguson there. But other than that, like, they never stank to high heaven like City seems to be doing all the time. I mean, it just seems like nobody had a chance if these charges are true, doesn't it? Literally every deck was stacked against everybody else.
Yeah, and I know this latest thing is I guess they're trying to compare City to Enron, and it's like basically the losses that City have made, they're hiding within companies outside the city. So you know, it's a lot of tin hat stuff, and I don't know what La Liga has to benefit from this happening, other than either someone's put them up to it, to again just put him back in the media, because this whole FFP thing seems to be, like Kazi said, it's kind of just almost forgotten about. So I think this again puts City in a light where now everyone's watching them again. I don't know. It's I mean, we're all like, obviously City cheated, whatever, now, but there's like 19 out of them 20 clubs that would love to have been in City's position with being able to spend money the way they had. And it wasn't a problem when Abramovich was in charge, you know, and Chelsea just, you know, bought the league and whatever. And it is what it is. I would say Newcastle, you know, for all their money, can't do anything with it. So, you know, it's kind of like, you know, part of me feels like, you know, if you've got the money, your owners are willing to spend it, then it's fair enough. I think the FFP rules, they're just not transparent enough. And there's so many loopholes that clubs are able to take advantage of, and it just can't be enforced properly. Obviously, I'd love for City to be stripped of them 2 titles. I don't care, you know, I take them. I don't care whether people think we earned them or not. I'll take them, you know, and I can die peacefully knowing that we're above Man United in terms of winning the league. But yeah, it doesn't affect us. I don't see how La Liga benefits from it, other than, you know, maybe Premier League have kind of like pushed them into this, and you know, and just put them back in the limelight.
Let me ask you this: do you think? Here's the philosophy degree coming out. The fact that they have all the money of Croesus and can essentially buy whoever they want and sign them to 9-year contracts, and you know, buy players like Grealish and then just stick them on the bench and not have anything to do with them for months and months and months if they wanted to, and then they're also allegedly cheating. It's to me, that sounds incredibly immoral, doesn't it? Like, forget the soccer stuff. That just seems like unethical to the highest level. Like, you have all the advantages, but I'm gonna sneak a few more because, you know, why not? I'll get away with it.
Yeah, and that's to say, people get away with what they can until they're found out, and then, you know, and then the loopholes close, and then they'll find another way, like Chelsea did, you know, putting players in 9-10-year contracts. But then you got to question: do you want them type of players? Do you want a player that's going to go for the money and go on a 10-year contract and be happy to sit on a bench and not play? And for, you know, all the vitriol that we give to FSG about not buying players and whatever, we bought no one this summer. We literally bought no one. We got Chiesa, who doesn't play, and we're 13 points clear of the league, and, you know, favourites to win the Champions League. So, you know, for the money and cheating that everyone's doing, again, you know, FSG, like I said, for all the crap that we give them, we're not having to watch over our backs for FFP. We're not having to watch other leagues trying to sue us or take us to court or any of the others. We can win this league, and we've won this league fair and square. No COVID, no World War III, no nothing. We're going to sit at the top of the league, not spending any money, and slots coming in this first season and showing everyone that this game is so simple. You just have to freaking just stop overthinking and start solid. And he's showing the way to do it.
Brian, my accusation for Pep Guardiola has never been that he's, you know, he needs all of the money to coach. He's a fantastic coach. His ideas in the game have changed everything for everybody in much the same way Cruyff's did, and in much the same way Charles Reeves did way back in the 30s, you know, with Wolves and all that, and the long ball game, you know, the era defining kind of coaches. But in terms of trophies won, if even half of these charges ever stick, it's going to tarnish his reputation, isn't it, as a winning coach? But even for the stylistic stuff, the accusation has always been he couldn't take Leicester to the league title with those coaching methods. He has to have the money to buy the players. But if his clubs are going through, or this club at least going through loopholes to get the players, is it really worth as much?
I mean, I can say right there, his City part right there may be tarnished right there, but his Bayern mark, I can't really say it's really tarnished because of how the structure of the Bundesliga is with the player, with the player and with the fan / ownership of like a model that the Bundesliga runs underneath of. Barcelona, I can do that right there. I can say maybe because, again, right there, I feel like this whole thing right there bringing up from like the president of La Liga is, hey, I'm not going to defend Man City right there, but what's Real Madrid and Barcelona done for so many years? I mean, Real Madrid's done the same crap like constantly right there. I mean, how many players have basically been hit up behind with managers in behind the scenes hotel conversations? To go and get pry players away. How many times have we seen these same players that Real Madrid will buy, throw them down into Real Madrid, into their B side, and play over in the Segunda League? I mean, same thing with Barcelona. So I mean, not to say anything that City's doing right, but it's not the same right there. His own league isn't doing the same exact stuff right there. I mean, because you've seen the same type of issues happen all the time. Now, the problem with City right there is. And again, I kind of agree with what Sir Z said right there. 19 out of the 20 teams right there probably would, if they had this model and had this capability, would have done the same thing. Because, it goes back to that whole entire philosophy. I'm not a fan of it, but if you're not cheating, you're not trying sometimes like that with that. And that's kind of what happened right there. I mean, it's like everybody out there right there would have the opportunity right there if they had that kind of cash to be able to curtail the rules to go out there to win. It's what happens. It's what happens in sports all the time. I mean, yeah, FSG is living in this same type of in a different type of modeling, but you can't tell me that there still isn't somewhere back there that there's some things going on. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's the entire. Sport is entertainment, and entertainment you have to have you go there and put the product out there to entertain right there, and sometimes you have to go different routes to put those players out there. I mean, and so the advertising thing right there that City used right there, which is the whole thing which got knocked down right there with funding with their transfers and their daily thing, that got knocked out. So that's done right there. So I mean, the only thing that you have right now based off there is the rest of this trial right there. And I don't see shit happening. Excuse my language. There ain't nothing going to happen about this right there. We're not getting the trophies back. We're not getting anything back right there because, again, there is so much money that's vested right there through Man City and through that and through their network right there in football. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's like, and it kind of tarnishes the entire sport in a way right there, but it's what happened. I mean, we went to Super Leagues that tarnish the sport. We've seen countless things tarnish the sport right there, but the lasting thing right there is to try to go out there and go out there and be the underdog and be the winner and try to do it right, and that's it right there in my opinion. But City, I mean, I don't care less. That's their problems right there. I remember sitting there watching them go out there and get beat by Middlesbrough 7-1 right there in one of their last matches at Main Road. Those are things right there you think about right there. I mean, it's like they built this club right there out of their money, and that right there is probably enough right there for you to say about their image. Without their money right there, they'd be probably sitting back in the Championship or League One or League Two right now.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. The Ben Affleck method of romance. I stood in a good stead.
Start this right, Mark, because I agree with some of the points, but I disagree with quite a few of them as well that the lads have made here. Number one, the FFP argument that says he made, if you get the money, you just can't spend it. Well, it's just going to be the richest team wins in the end. And you can't have that because you've got to keep it fair for other teams. You're just basically waiting for the fucking big Dubai fucking guys to come in and buy it, and in the end, you get to win the league because that's the fairest thing to do. I disagree with that. I think there's a part, though, there's also a part that every other club has to sign up to these rules. They haven't built the rules. If you're going to make it a fair playing field, an open fucking playing field, I'm sure FSG would spend more money. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that even FSG would probably Yeah, go on then. You know what I mean? We'll get our hand in our pocket. But everyone else has to follow these rules. So that's a part of the argument. The other part, again, going back to, because I've followed the City case quite a lot, right? And I like to think I'm kind of clued in on it. Not this one, the original 115. I think 15 of the charges are for failing to cooperate with the Premier League. So whether you knock out all the other ones, knock them out of the park and go, yeah, you're cleared. How are you clearing them, man? Because you didn't cooperate. You clearly didn't. They can't say, oh, actually, fella, it was Hotmail. I thought it was Gmail. Oh, no. Oh, that's not going to fucking fly, is it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Isn't that called the Rio Ferdinand's defence? Oh, I had to go shopping.
Exactly, yeah.
And the Mancini, the Roberto Mancini thing as well.
Yeah, but that's going to amount to what? 1 or 2-3 million pound fine, something like that?
No, because of that. I also think that the Premier League, right, the Premier League fella must feel like something they got sort of bulletproof. Because the Premier League is spending an arm and a leg to take them to court. They're spending money. The Premier League don't want to spend money. They can't even send money down to the Championship clubs. So, you know what I mean? Like, they must have something. They must have something that they pissed them off. The big one for me is that they think they'll pay Mancini and Guardiola on separate contracts, won't they? That's another one that really stinks. That they're going to have to basically resolve ASAP. Because that's the one. The other part of a lot of these charges, I think there's like 80 of the charges are all to do with the sponsorship deals, right? Right, you are technically correct. Some of them have been thrown out, but it wasn't the original 115 because the rules have changed since then. But they still broke the rules in the 115. Since the argument is City, like, well, the rules have changed now and we were doing this. It's like, yeah, but they wanted the rules at the time, mate. And the other part of this is where taking league titles off. I don't think they'll take league titles off. I think if City are found guilty on a whole 115 charges, I think they get like a 70-point deduction. Because you can't relegate them. This thing where we'll go, relegate them. You can't, it's impossible. EFL and the Premier League are two separate entities. But you can give them a 70-point deduction. Or an 80-point deduction, and then the inevitable happens, you get relegated. So, I just feel like we all need to... Sometimes with these kind of cases, gents, right, and I think that's what with all sport, and even like criminal cases, they go on for years and you just get tired and just get jaded. When someone pleads not guilty, then in 3 years' time, you've got to go to court and relive this horrible trauma, waiting for that. You know what I mean? It just takes forever to go through. That's what they're designed to do. They're designed to weigh you down and go, just fuck off, City. Just, you know what I mean? No, you've got to maintain your hold and go, no, this stinks. This fucking stinks. I know I'm swearing tonight. I'm sorry for we're trying to get the old YouTube monetization here, but it does stink. It really does. This one's a bit more of the La Liga is more La Liga. An argument here. We go to the same companies that City do for scouting, for marketing, and stuff like that. And they're only charging City like 10% of what we're getting charged for the same services. Why? That's the argument. So that is what La Liga are doing here. So they just want to get that confirmed. Why are they charging them less? So they'll go to the marketing company or the scouting company and go, why are you charging City less? Do you know what I mean? And that's the part of this conversation for the La Liga ones. But I just think with the 115 lads, we should all maintain ourselves. We all should all, listen, FFP's been brought in, I think, for the greater good of football. I do believe that. I believe, for example, with Newcastle, you should be punished for spending 35 million on Chris Wood. You should be punished for that. You shouldn't be allowed to go and do it again. You should be absolutely punished for going and spending 40 million on Lewis Hall or 52 million on Tenale, who now looks like a player, by the way, but he was suspended for 18 months and they were trying to sign more or whatever it was. So you should be punished for that. Everton should be punished for going to sign under Ronald Koeman 7 number 10s in one window. 7 10s. Are we having a serious chat about football here? And they're signing 7 number 10s. So you should be punished. And I just think you can still win this league, as Liverpool have proven, without spending money and improving football players. Because sometimes, gents, it's not all about we just need players. No. If you can improve, if you're a manager, Arteta, for example, I'm having this with Amarin, and this is probably a nice segue for you here, Macka. You've got to improve players. You're still a manager. You have to improve some. And I think sometimes that gets forgotten about in modern football.
I think that is... Oh, so go ahead, Susie.
Sorry. I know you said Lapio and the English league or, whatever, they're separate entities. Let's just say City get fined 80 points or 75 points, right? After appeal goes down to 60, 50 maybe, right?
Right.
Let's say right. So let's just say that season, they only get enough points to make a little bit back, little bit of the difference. They get relegated. What if they don't make enough points to stay with them points to stay in the championship as well? Did I get relegated again?
No.
Or would they just wipe out the difference?
No, so the charges only get effective for the Premier League. So when you come back up, let's just say if it was like 50%,
so the point, the amount of point really doesn't make a difference. Then.
Over one season. So if they get it now, like an 80-point deduction, City will be on -20 odd. Because it only affects one season. That's it.
Right.
What they can do though, City, and this is the point about the titles part, they can go back and retrospectively take points off previous seasons still. Like that's what happened in the Italian league with the match fixing, remember, like 15 years ago when Juve got relegated and stuff. They went back and took points off previous seasons to take titles off them. So they can go 18-19, we're taking 10 points off you for that. Because that's, this happened then, so Liverpool was in the league. That's what I mean by giving stripping titles. That's how you strip titles.
Let's segue nicely from one side of City, one side of Manchester rather, to the other side of Manchester, and knowing how to improve players, because there's one that isn't improving, and there is one who's left on loan and apparently wants to stay at Aston Villa, Marcus Rashford, because now he looks like the player he was before. So clearly something wasn't happening on the development stage at Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag had his shot and it wasn't working, so they went, and let's be fair, a manager that we were looking at but turned down eventually for a number of reasons that I've seen. But Ruben Amorim, because he is not developing that team. He's insisting on playing. He's more stubborn than a Neil Warnock type almost. He's almost like a Portuguese with Neil Warnock, with eyebrows, of course, because Neil Warnock doesn't have any eyebrows for some strange reason. Like it's weird.
No.
It is but yeah, I mean that team is going backwards, isn't it? He's not developing any of those players, and maybe even making some of them worse. Is that a case of hype over substance with that manager?
No, I actually think this is for the greater good. Like you've got to find out who's in the trenches with you. What can you do? You're Man United. What can you do? You've tried everything. You may as well go and try the lad who made Sporting Lisbon League champions for like the first time in years. I think it was like 15 years or something. And he continuously did it. And you may as well try it. You knew what you were getting. The man plays 4-3-3. He probably told you this in numerous job interviews. I ain't changing. This is my philosophy. Go and get me players. By the way, the one stand he did make his dog. I mean, he actually looks all right. I know we got sent off and we get to that as well. He actually looks all right. He looks like a bit of a player as a wing back. I think with United, you're right. The problem is, I didn't think it would be this bad. I thought they would get over the line in certain games. But there's also a part of this where he just thinks, you know what? I always think about this with teams. We're not getting relegated. We can still have a crack at the Europa League and get in the Champions League that way. We can't finish in the top 5. It's just impossible. So you may as well stick to your philosophy and try and finish in the top 5. Win the Europa League and finish wherever you want to in the Champions League. I agree with everything that he's doing. I really do. In terms of, not just because of my bias, by the way, and they're getting whacked every week. It's more the fact of like, you have to take a step back sometimes and go, yeah, I can't do with 10 of these lads. 10 of they're just not for me. All of them are crap. And there's a lot of crap. I think the weird part for me is though, gents, is that like even like Mainu and that he doesn't fancy. And that's when Garnacho doesn't fancy. But also, if you can play in 3-4-3, and we can break this down tactically a little bit. If you play with that type of wing back, you've got to track back. It's impossible. You have to slip into a 5 when you haven't got the ball. You just have to. The problem is with United right now, you're not having the ball. You're taking 30% possession in games, some games, or 40% possession in games. You're not taking a lot, the vast majority of the ball. So you'll lose players like Garnacho and stuff like that. Is that a bad thing? I don't think it is. I actually don't think it is. There's been a part of this where he's left the Sporting Lisbon side. They were in the Champions League. I think they were undefeated in the Champions League before he left. They were in the top 8 comfortably. They just whacked United City 4-1. I think he must have been given assurances and promises. But I also think there's a part of this where Amorim walks. I am so certain he might walk. I've just got a feeling he just goes, you know what? My reputation's still intact here. Like I can leave and go, nah, they were all bad shit crazy. I've been promised the world and I didn't get this and I didn't get that. And I actually see there's a case that it works. Because I actually quite like him. I think he's a talented manager. I actually think there's something there with him. But winning footy matches is the fucking it is the part of this whole enterprise that we're in here, gents. You've got to win footy matches eventually. But if you've sold something to this team now and you've sold something to these fans, and I think the most important part of this chat here, gents, is that I think the fans are on board. So if the fans are on board with you and they've got your back and they believe in what you're doing in terms of getting this crap out, because they've went through 10 years of pain. They've went through 10 years of pain. There's a part of this though, Mac, Liverpool went through this with Gerard Houllier. It wasn't as bad as this, but we knew it was bad under Evans and Liverpool wanted to win again. And Houllier went, well, fuck that, then we're not playing this open attack and Spice Boys kind of football. We're having two banks of four centre-halves across the back. Do you know what I mean? With Marcus Babbel and Jamie Carragher and Hippie and Honcho. We're having a four banks of four. By the way, people always forget that, by the way, Marcus Babbel was a centre-half before he came to Liverpool. A legit centre-half for Germany. And we're going to be hard to beat, and I'm going to try and make you win this way. And Liverpool won that way. So then you buy on board. So then that's where the buy-in comes. Do you know what I mean? The problem is right now, for that, I think for Amadin, the buy-in isn't there right now. But what does help him as well is that these owners keep making the same mistakes. And the owners right now are the main talking points of Manchester United. Because, my God, they are batshit crazy.
Just on that, though, in terms of that comparison, I don't think it's an unfair comparison at all. But if I remember correctly, we never finished outside of the top four under Roy Evans.
Yeah,
it was only the top two or three, wasn't it?
We never finished lower than 8 since we got promoted.
Yeah.
We never finished lower than 8, and I get that, and I understand that.
What the point I'm trying to make is like it's really bad at United. It's really bad at United right now. Like,
but I also think as well, though, if he does sneak the Europa League, because it wouldn't surprise you if they just win the Europa League and just do it like a Man United kind of thing, just to go out and win the Europa League, and then everyone goes, well, he only had half a season, and these aren't his players. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a selling point there. That's all.
And also, that Europa League trophy, that was a Mickey Mouse trophy until they win it.
Oh, I always remember that. Was it the Mickey Mouse treble they called it? The big sign, didn't he? Where that was the Mickey Mouse treble. And then when all he got to show was in all the cups to go, and this will be some feat, and he lost every semi-final. Lost every single semi-final.
Amazing. Brian, what do you think of this in terms of United? It's good to laugh at them. I agree with Cozy. I don't think there's a lack of coaching talent with Ruben Amorim. He clearly has ideas, but that really is a poisonous chalice to be holding right now, the Manchester United job, isn't it? From top down towards the bottom. If the bottom still exists, if they're not in the dressing room eating soup out of a can.
My biggest question right there, which goes back to on them right there, how would you spend 40 mil on Onana right there, and you had Dean Henderson right there, who was sitting right there? I mean, Dean Henderson is like 100 times better of a keeper than Onana is. I don't even know what Onana does, because if you go back to that match right there from yesterday, those first two goals were all Onana. I mean, running around right there, basically leaving an open net right there for them to score on right there. But as far as they go right there, it's just a age squad, and also I have to, you kind of have to also question how a 3-4-3 works in this league, because again, it's like like you were talking about, like that, like Kazi was saying, you're relying right there on your wing to cover so much of the side of the pitch right there. If you don't have that right player, then you're open the entire time. I mean, so where you basically don't have anything to defend you. I think them losing Dallo right there has really kind of hurt them. I think that he actually came there was actually giving them a little bit more of a even keel right there. And now basically you have Garnacho basically running through there. And I mean, you could have had Rashford, and I don't blame Rashford for leaving. I think that Rashford was abandoned by the United management for many years. I think that he flipped so many different philosophies that went on to them that how does he know how to play? I mean, he was very much a shadow of what a player was. We saw him as a 19-year-old come out when, and I had to listen to, oh, well, you better come there. Rashford's going to be the next big thing. It never happened. I mean, he got to a point, and that's as far as he went. But I mean, again, it's a sad squad at the moment. I mean, that's all I can really say. I mean, it's full of aging players that they paid too much money for, and their payroll, and now they're paying too much payroll for. So But again, like Kazi said, I can see them sneaking in and come with their winning the UEFA Cup. It's because it's one of those things that they do. I mean, they could come there and finish like they could still probably finish at 15th right there and win the UEFA Cup and be in the Champions League. And it's a reality thing that could happen with them.
Hey, right, Liverpool beat Man United in the Super Cup. Come on, then let's have it.
That'd be fantastic.
Come on, man.
But with Amran right there, I mean, he really technically has to do a full rebuild to have his type of players for his type of system. And like Kazi, I admire him right there. Hey, he basically said, put his fist down, and said, "This is how I play. This is my philosophy. If you're not going to give me the players to do it, I'm just going to play with what I got. It might not work right there, but guess what? I'm going to tell you, this is how I'm playing right there. I mean, it's one of those steadfast things." And I guess, again, let's repeat constantly, I can see him walking. I can see him walking right there. If they don't back him and right there, why would you want to be there? I mean, you can go out there and stay with basically your pedigree in attack, go back to the continent right there and get a job, no problem.
So here's my question to you is that if Amram does walk, it's probably a sense of like, this is too messed up for me, and also I'm not getting the backing. The fact that Ineos are, cutting lunches for staff members that are not first team players, that are sacking ambassadors that are club legends and are, losing cleaners, when there's probably, and I'm sure we all know my affinity for statistics and data in soccer, but you probably don't need 20 data analysts when computers could do all the work for you. So, maybe there's a few CEOs or directors that they could, chop their salaries out before they get rid of the grilled cheese sandwiches or something like that. It really smacks of, to me, and I want to know if you agree, of an ownership that are more concerned with almost what's the thing that they used to do in the 80s, the stripping, the asset stripping and all that. Resale, yeah. Like, it almost seems like Ineos are not there for the football; they're there for the turnover. Like they're house flipping almost.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I just think this club, everything that can be wrong about this club is wrong. First, I don't think Amarin will walk. I think this is a job. He tried to get out of Sporting Lisbon last year. He thought it was linked to the Liverpool job. Then he started pretending he didn't want it, and then he got on a plane to West Ham, and West Ham no, we got Moyes. You can F off, and then he didn't want to come to Man United, and then Man United, typical Man United fashion. Well, no one says no to us. Here's another few more million. Come over. And I think Amorim is just looking to get fired so he can get a good payoff and buy another villa in Portugal. You look at the players, from Pogba to Lingard to Jadon Sancho to Rashford. There's something fundamentally wrong with that club, with the youngsters, or whether the fact that the media have overhyped these players so much that these players believe they're actually good or better than what they are, and they're getting these $300,000 a week. A week salaries. There's no way Rashford should be earning more than freaking Salah. He shouldn't be earning more than Diaz, but he is, and that's just what the club are giving him. And again, fundamentally wrong that whole stadium is falling apart. I understand they're getting rid of the ambassadors. The cutting costs is $2 million a year. Paying Sir Alex Ferguson to do what really, to speak to Cristiano Ronaldo and convince him to come over to the club and make it more toxic than what it is. It's just laughable. Now, I'm glad it's happening to them. And if anything, it just shows all the FSG outlaw, be careful what you wish for. Because when they wanted Ineos, everyone wanted Ineos, get rid of the Glazers, and Ineos have come along and they've got rid of the frontline staff. The man that's doing it, I think they got him from City. He's on $4 million. Yeah, he's on $4 million a year. Wait, just cut $1 million off your salary and give it to the workers that are actually there, day in, day out, that are actually helping function the club. But they bought Casemiro, they got Banana. These players overvalued, and then look at the summer. Yeri Lono. It's like every other club kind of does a scouting forum, and gives them like this little smoke screen. Like Madrid pretended they were in for Leno, we pretended we were in for Leto, and the Man United, all right, well, we'll pay more than everyone else, and we get him, and the kid's shit. And then they bought Ugarte. Again, shit, Casemiro, retired. Like, Madrid didn't want him. All right, well, let's make him the highest paid player in our club. And that's just typical Man United. And, you know, they've dug their own grave, and hopefully they get relegated next year. And, they get everything they deserve. The moment David Gill left that club, the club just fell apart. And they didn't have any contingency plan for managers or anything else. They tried everything. They tried to get all the winners. They tried to get all the best managers they could. Even Klopp looked at our clubs like, nope, I'm not going there. Because all you care about is commercialism. I'm not going there. You know, and it's scary. If Klopp went there, he might have turned things around and he might have made them like invincible. But no, that club deserves everything they get. And I don't think they'll win the Europa. I don't know what players they can attract other than players that just want money. And obviously, Man United don't want to pay that money. What decent manager will even want to go there? Pochettino and what's the name? Tuchel, probably the only decent managers out there that might be available. I don't see them going to that mess.
It's like asking for a BMX burner for Christmas and getting a rally grifter instead.
And this is what makes this worse if you're a United fan, okay? And this is very important. This summer, 4 contracts are out, okay, out of contract. Lindelof, Evans, Eriksen, and Tom Heaton. 4 players you're not asked about, okay? So you could actually do with keeping Johnny Evans around. He's not the big issue. The other 2, whatever, you can leave, whatever. Okay. Next year is Harry Maguire and Casemiro. Harry Maguire's not your biggest problem right now. Far from it. Casemiro is. Well, you've got to pay him another 350 grand a week because he's never leaving. Because why would you leave? So this gets worse, by the way, gents. This is going to get so much worse the more I talk here. 2027 contracts out. Bruno, Mainu, Martinez, Luke Shaw, that keeper, the Turkish keeper, Banyinda, and Tommy Collier. So your argument is, so Bruno's out of contract in 2 years. Bruno's 32 in 2 years. Are you giving me one? Not sure. Kobe Mainu, okay. You might want to time down to a big deal, no problem. Martinez will be 29, 30. We're not sure if you can play in a 3 at the back. Luke Shaw's Luke Shaw. You want him out the club.
Pay him in pie and mash.
You want him out the club as soon as possible. The other 2 are squad players. We're going into 2028, gents. 2028. Højlund. Can't get him out the books. Too much money. Who's going to sign Højlund? Garnacho. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you're trying to sell him to Chelsea. Whatever's happening there. You've got a Dalot issue. In terms of Dalot's 25, it looks like a bit of a player. You want to sign him up. Oh, Nana. He's got 3 years left on his deal. He's crap. 3 years left. Mazraoui. Mason Mount is out of contract in 3 years. So I'm getting to the main point here in a second. We're going to go into 2029, gents. Lenny Yoro, we don't know. Ugarte, De Ligt. Joshua Zirkzee is on a contract till 2029. He doesn't even look like a football player. 2029. I'm into 2030. If this planet still exists by 2030 with these fucking idiots in charge of all these countries, we have Diallo and Patrick Dorgan. So you still haven't learned your lesson from the lad you just signed in January and give him a 5-year deal. And you have no idea if the kid's good or not. So what I'm getting at is, though, gents, even if you wanted to do a rebuild, you can't. Because you can't get them out the damn club. They're just there. They're just around. Like, he must walk back in the summer, Amarin, and go, right, first summer with these lads, let's have a look. And he goes, why the fuck is Casemiro still here? What are you? Didn't you go? Have you just gone to Saudi? No, why would I go to Saudi, fella? I'm on 400 grand a week. I'll just play your League Cup games and I'll be flying. This is the point. You can't even do a rebuild. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, I look at Everton, for example. David Moyes went back to Everton. He's turned them around. They look really good. One of the most informed teams in the league. We should respect them. Everton's out of contracts in the summer. Calvert-Lewin, Mangala, these, by the way, Mangala, Lindstrom, Harrison, Brozier, and Alcaraz all go back loans. All go back to their clubs, right? So you got Calvert-Lewin, Decore, Michael Keane, Idrissa Gana Gueye, Ashley Young, Seamus Coleman, and a couple of goalkeepers, all out of contract. What does that allow you? To rebuild. It allows you to start from scratch and go, I can rebuild because all of these are crap. And they're all gone now. And it's freed up all this money for me in terms of wages. Do you know what I mean? We're going into a new stadium with a new manager and I can go and get 8 new players who are all boss, who all want to play for the club, and then everything can fly. United can't even do that because they're still here. They're still here. Like, leave. Mason Mount, they must be looking, going, what are we going to do for the next 3 years with you lot? Genuinely, you're made out of biscuits. What are we doing with you? Luke Shaw's just sitting there, livid, because he used to share the greenkeeper's food on the side. And he's like thinking to himself, my God, what is going on? He's lost his second lunch. I just think with United, mate, it's worse than you think in terms of getting these lads out. It's about getting players in. He just said, they're going to come and take the money. No. Man United will attract football players. Liverpool attracted fucking Luis Suarez and Fernando Torres when we're in the fucking midst of garbage. Liverpool attract footy players. So Man United, that ain't your problem. It's getting them out. And that's what the biggest issue that they've got this summer.
Hey, Mason Mount has read Thiago's handbook of how to go through to hang out around a club for a couple of years and not get anything and not do anything.
I couldn't believe it.
That's another one. We pretended we were in for him, and Man United, we're just going to pay over the odds and go get him. There you go.
But you must be looking out in the summer going, I fancy a new goalkeeper. He's on 250 grand a week. He throws one in his net every week and he's got 3 years left. What do you want me to do with him? Like, genuinely, you must be going, what do you mean? I want a keeper. We can't get a keeper.
But even with your summer people right there, I'd keep Lindelof. Lindelof would probably be the only one of those people I'd keep because I think that he's actually not bad. I think he's coachable.
Doesn't play him. Won't play him. Like, yeah. I genuinely, I couldn't believe when I was looking at the contract. Honestly, my head fell off. I was like, you're in for an absolute nightmare. Rasmus Højlund is clearly not good enough for Man United. He's 22 years of age. I feel sorry for him. I genuinely feel sorry for the kid. The kid should have just stayed where he was, but the kid's been given life-changing money to go. So why wouldn't you? Well, okay, I want a striker. Hey, he's got 3 years left. You know, we pay 72 million quid for him, and he's on 200 odd grand a week. Any chance you want to try and fucking coach him? Hey, mate, I may as well coach the mannequin because I can't get a chuck and tune out of him. This is what you're up to. I just find it that it's a bigger job than you think, just to get the lads out the door, which is the bigger problem.
Oh, that's a good. Yeah, we're doing well on the segues tonight, lads. A bigger club than you think. Eddie Howe and his, I don't know, his impressionist there. By the way, the only thing Mason Mount needs is an aunt stalking him. That's the only thing he's missing in comparison with Thiago. But Newcastle, Eddie Howe. I mean, there's no doubt he is also a relatively talented coach. Certainly in English terms, he's probably one of the best of the English coaches. But also, I think he has the English hype around him as well, because that Newcastle team. Okay. Like, if you think of what Espirito Santo's done with Forest, who were relegation favourites or at least in that conversation before the season started, he's done fantastic work with them, and we've discussed before that they have actually spent money on players. It's not a magic Leicester Claudio Ranieri kind of miracle deal. They have players that they could work with, but Eddie Howe's been at Newcastle for a while. They have their best chance of winning a trophy against us, which means being arrogant and all, they've no chance of winning a trophy. But is Eddie Howe the real deal for that kind of a club? Is he stuck where Brendan Rodgers was stuck with Liverpool, where you could see there's ideas, but he's not a big enough fish for that particular pond right now? Does he need to go somewhere? Like, maybe Rangers or somewhere, or maybe take over from Brendan Rodgers and win a few trophies to see his ideas actually succeed. And on the flip side, do Newcastle need to get a bigger manager than Eddie Howe and his what's the character from Star Wars that always hung around Jabba the Hutt? That little one, with the whiny voice that sounds like my cat. Am
I in a minority? I think I really like Eddie Howe. I think I'm in a minority.
No. I don't dislike him.
I think he's overrated.
I think what do you think's overrated about him though? What's overrated, seriously?
I think overhyped, I guess, is the better word. I think if he's the best of English managers, that really tells you everything you need to know about English
not the
coaching.
Question. That's a bigger question, isn't it?
In regards to being overhyped, obviously, one, he hasn't won anything, right? I know.
Yeah, but he's not clubs. Go on, sorry, go on. You go.
And obviously, he doesn't win anything this season. He's done well with Newcastle up to a point. I don't think Newcastle can get another manager that's going to do better because of the financial restraints that they have. And I don't think they're producing enough players to sell where they can obviously internally, or grow organically. I think for Eddie Howe, I think he's come to a point in his career. I don't think he can get better. I haven't seen him get better. I think he should have taken that England job or tried to take over the England job after Southgate left. I think that's the next pathway for him to take, because there's no other club no top club in the league or probably in Europe are going to take Eddie Howe as a manager. So I think he's got as high a point as you can get. Even if Pep Guardiola left Man City, they're not going to go in for Eddie Howe. So that's my take on it. Maybe Arsenal, if they get rid of Arteta, maybe that could be a good segue for him. But I think he's reached the pinnacle of his career right now.
Go ahead, Bri, because I'll let you go here because it looks like you're nodding along to Sergio. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's the modern day Alan Pardew. That's the way I feel about what he is right there. I mean,
that is a nasty snore, Brian. That is
again, this is
I hope he's a better dancer.
So again, this right here is okay. So when he was at Bournemouth, perfect. I think he was a great manager at Bournemouth. I think that's his element. That's where he's at. It's just like Alan Pardew. His element was Crystal Palace. That little element through there. Nothing more. There's been so much hype about him. I remember when he came from Bournemouth right there, everybody's like, oh, he's a shoo-in for the England job. He's a shoo-in to go to Arsenal. I mean, remember all these links that we saw right there when he was at Bournemouth until Newcastle came there and grabbed him. It's like again, he hasn't accomplished anything. And, I've taken a lot of stick on Discord about talking about him, about how I don't rate him right there from other people with there. But there's nothing there. I mean, there's no substance. If I'm giving Jacob Murphy, I'm giving Isaac, I'm giving, these type of players right there, Tonali and all that, and I'm not fucking accomplishing anything. I mean, again, these are very well players right there where you should be coming there competing for top 4 right there. Newcastle can't do it. They can't. They're apex of their league right there at 6th. And I mean, that's it. I mean, I don't see them breaking top 4 this year. I don't think that they're better than City. I don't think that they're better than Forest. They're definitely not better than Arsenal, and they're definitely not better than us. They're not there. I mean, again, I think Isaac's a fantastic player. I think they have a lot of good assets there, but Eddie Howe just doesn't know how to use them. And it's like not for him. It's kind of like what Macka was saying right there. Maybe this right there is above him. But of course, Newcastle's been doing the same thing for years anyway. I mean, they're the constant team right there who thinks they're big, but they're really not. I mean, they haven't won anything for how many years? I mean, they're the northern version of Spurs, basically. I mean, same difference right there. I can basically talk that I'm a big club, but you're really not. I mean, you're bigger than Sunderland, sure. I mean, who isn't? I mean, and again, that's where I'm at.
Okay, right. And I'm going to stick up for Eddie Howe massively, right? I think there's a part of this when you're saying you don't finish in the top 4. I think they'll finish in Champions League football this year, but it could be top 5, and the 4 points off Forest. So I think they're well in it. The season isn't over. That's the other thing. Number 2, by the way, lads, you two were saying all that when we played them in the fucking cup final in 2 weeks, and you might be getting clipped up and going viral by those Geordies out there. So be very careful what you're telling him in terms of what they've accomplished. Number 2, the other part of this, I suppose, that they have got to a cup final in the league a couple of years ago, lost to United. Okay, that can happen. That's football. But they did get to a cup final and in another cup final. I'm probably putting them as one of the favourites to win the FA Cup because it's wide open this year. And I think they have a really good shot at that. I actually think what Eddie Howe's done there has been tremendous. I really do. I think he's done a great job. I think Newcastle, even in the terms of being in the top 6, is a massive coup because they are not a great club. I think, by the way, I think they're best in Chelsea. And Chelsea are above them by 2 points. And it could be top 5. That's all I'm saying. What is the aspirations for Newcastle? And I think he's achieving the aspirations.
Let me ask this because you did actually, you're feeding into what I was thinking in terms of like the relativity of it all. Is that Newcastle have been here before where they've been, up around the top 4. They've been in the Champions League, like under Bobby Robson. They were fantastic.
They did 2 years ago under Howe as well, weren't they?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like in terms of what Newcastle need to kind of get the albatross from around their neck of actually being a top 3 competitor consistently. Okay. In terms of winning the trophies, maybe not winning the Premier League, but winning the League Cup, winning the FA Cup, winning in Europe. Is Eddie Howe the man that's going to get them there? Is what my point is.
But the argument is, though, of course, we can argue that. I would argue the fact of, is the next manager, whoever that would be, do you take a chance on that when this guy is getting to cup finals and this guy is, competing at the top of the table? I just think it's super harsh. I don't know. I feel like what he's done there, he's got the best out of it. He's, by the way, playing really well. I really love his midfield. I love Bruno, Joe Linton, and Tonali. I think it's a solid midfield. The Liverpool played really well yesterday, by the way, against them. And Liverpool were great, but they didn't have Isaac, or was it Joe Linton didn't play? I can't remember. But they didn't have those players. I think it'll be a different game in the cup finals. I think they're a really good side. They're really doing it. I think Eddie Howe deserves 100% credit. And I also think there's a part of this as well, gents, where they've had constraints with FFP in the summer, especially because they were going to sign Joe Gomez off us, and it would have been a really good sign if you can get him fit. And then Liverpool were going to sign Gordon. They got rid of Minter, didn't they? In the end, Minter goes to Brighton, and they sell Anderson to Forest, and just to get the money back. So I don't know, man. I think I wouldn't. It wouldn't put it past me if Newcastle finished third. I wouldn't be surprised if Newcastle finished third in this league, like above Forest. I don't mean on the disrespect of it for Forest. I just feel like that Isaac can just turn it on and just score enough games and get enough goals for you, which will get you there. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's what strikers do. Look at Mo Salah. He scores enough goals and gets enough assists and he'll get you there. So I don't know, man. I think it's massively disrespectful. I think in a little way, and I think Eddie Howe is actually an half decent manager. Would I expect him to go to Arsenal? No, probably not. I would say. Would you say Spurs is a sideways step? Maybe. Like, is Spurs sideways? Maybe. Like, would I expect him maybe to even go? I'd say Chelsea would take a punt on him. If Maresca got sacked, I could see Chelsea taking a punt on him, but who knows?
Do you think, see, the thing about the Chelsea is that they've been born by Graham Potter, who was also in that, he was in that conversation of, great English coaches, and it didn't quite work out for him or them. So, maybe he would suffer from that, in that sense, like, guilt by association almost. But do you not think, in terms, we're not saying he's doing it terrible, but he's not Eric Ten Hag, you know what I mean? Like, that's definitely not what the question is. But for the club that he's at, do you what my question was originally was, do you think he's hit a wall in terms of, Newcastle have this 55, 56 years now at this point, 57 or something like that, ambition to win a trophy. Even David Moyes has won a trophy since,
There's an argument though. If Newcastle finish in the Conference League this year, they win it next. Newcastle will be by far the best team in the Conference League. This is how strong this league is, gents, at the moment, right? I was thinking about this the other day, and Newcastle have definitely in terms of this. Wolverhampton Wanderers are 17th in the league. Okay? By far, 17th in the league. Solid. We know where you are. I think you're 10 points off 16th. 17th. Okay. They might have Brazil's star midfield playing for them. In Gomez and Andre. Gomez and Andre might be starting for Brazil in a World Cup, and they play for Wolves. That's how strong this league is. So there's a part of this as well when you actually look around. I have this argument, people are all right, and you just might not like this. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Bournemouth would win the Premier League. This Bournemouth side would win the Prem. That's how strong this league is. I would argue that there's players in that Bournemouth and Brighton team, Fulham especially. I think there's players there that would, every single team now has a player that you can play in the Champions League. Forget the bottom three. That's a bigger discussion for next week, by the way, is the how do we stop bridging this gap between the Championship and Premier League? Because of my God, it's the bigger than ever. We'll get into that next week. Because I've got a lot of stats on this as well that I've been looking into. But I just think now, for example, Villa at 10th. Villa have players that can start for everything in the league. Like, that's how, you know what I'm saying? I just think it's really competitive. And he's got them 6th. The league isn't over. He's got them in a cup final. They got a good shot at winning the FA Cup. I just think we could have this more of a chat, I suppose, at the end of the year. If Newcastle go on and lose the next 5, we can all have a bit of a chat, you know what I mean? But right now, I just think they're in a really good spot. Isaac's unlucky to miss Liverpool, but they probably fancy themselves to get something, do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think they got good players, good signings, and they're ticking along nicely.
I mean, look at their fixtures right there. They really only have 2 hard matches, really. That they basically have Arsenal and Chelsea right there toward the end of May, right there. Out of that, right there, all the matches they have are below them right now. So I mean, it's a favorable fixtures for them right there. I mean, again, like there, with Macka was saying right there, I kind of don't. I feel like again. I think he has hit a wall in a way. I mean, it's kind of like I think there's clubs, there's areas of where managers go there and excel at right there. I mean, and I think that the Bournemouth right there, that Bournemouth that was then was right there. This Bournemouth now, I don't feel Eddie Howe would have the same impact on this Bournemouth that you're seeing that we're talking about now. I think that his style of football is different from that style of football. So I think is his style of football at Newcastle coming there and actually progressing them further than what they can. It's still so right now.
I do think as well, by the way, he suffers from his name being Eddie Howe. I do think he is that.
It is a stupid name.
And he has that. Well, he has that.
I think he's got an idiot assistant.
He has that weird
many
assistant. I know it's weird. It looks weird. The assistant's always there. The assistant's basically playing left wing. It's all a bit weird. But I know what you're saying. I just think I think Newcastle fans may listen again. They might win a trophy this year, and they have a great shot at doing it in terms of the FA Cup as well with the League Cup. And if he wins a trophy for Newcastle, he'll have a statue outside. No problem.
Right, so we could talk about that for a long while, I think, but we're not going to because I know you're all eagerly anticipating the best part of the night, and not the end either, not the final seconds of the show. It's Room 433, where, if you haven't been with us for the last few weeks, the lads get to pick a sports, for now at least, a Liverpool or sports-related topic that they want to get rid of in Room 433. It goes in that room forever and ever because he's winning right now, by the way, if anybody's interested. But they have to defend their point against us, and if they succeed, their topic goes into Room 433, never to be seen again. But if they fail, they have to hold on to it, like Brian has for the last 3 weeks or 2 weeks. So we'll start. I think it was free reign again this week. So let me start with Sir Z. What do you want to put into Room 433 that I'm not going to let you possibly this week?
Two things. Are we allowed to choose fans?
All the
fans.
fans.
I'll put Arsenal fans. I would put Arsenal fans.
Okay.
Defend that position. Why for?
Fans? All right. They're the most deluded demographic in the world. Like, seriously, from AFTV, and I really think AFTV are funded by Daniel Levy from across the way, because they make so much money every time Arsenal lose. And they epitomize everything what's wrong about football fans right now. They're toxic, deluded, blame game, will not take accountability, won't admit the shit. They're just everything about them is just wrong, and it's just cringe, and it's just like Arsenal fans especially. Obviously, I grew up in London, grew up with Arsenal fans. Somewhere along the line, they've gone from being normal human beings to the armpit of the universe. And I'm being kind right now, like, because they just really just, even last year, they were like, thought they were going to win the league, and they're giving it the big one. They beat us 3-1 at their ground and whatever, and they're trying to think that they're the next thing since Jesus. The only reason Arsenal got to where they did last season is because we fell off towards the end. And again, that false hope. And again, this season, thinking they're better than us and so forth. And Saka gets injured, Odegaard gets injured, and they're trying to put that narrative on us. Oh, well, we got lucky with injuries. No, we didn't get lucky with injuries. We just didn't run our players into the ground because Arteta's so stupid that he ran Saka. He's played Saka for 3 years straight, and now his hamstrings are done, and you're probably never going to get the same Saka back again. And it's just the whole narrative of just everyone else is to blame, but them. But the fact that their team is shit, and just the toxicity and everything about them is just cringe and wrong. I just hate them.
Cosy, Brian, do you have anything to support or object to that?
It's time to go. No, I'm kidding. He's my favourite Arsenal fan. RIP Claude. But I know that was Claude off AFTV.
Claude, is that the older one? Is it the ancient one?
Yeah, I think he's passed away now. The guy.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You see. But no, I disagree, seriously. I think football's a part of tribalism. I think that's what makes it
it's
fun.
Not even tribalism.
I just think, and there's also, you can't count the online fan base as the fan base. I think that's really harsh, because otherwise, if you judge Liverpool's online
Except
fan
for us.
base,
Except for us.
yeah. If you judge Liverpool's online fan base, it's just 4 bullmen talking shit on a Thursday night. But if you judge us by what happens, then we're all fucked, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? I just think...
No. We're completely different.
Can I have order in the court, please? Order in the court. Macka.
Yes, you had your time. You had your time.
Nah. I just think doesn't it make it better, Sergi, when Liverpool just go 13 points clear? Doesn't it better just to make them grind it in and let them bring Arteta on for another year and think, oh, it's because of the injuries. It's not because he's absolutely shite. But we're just going to find this out. You've got to let them marinate. There's nothing better in my world. I do not want to see Arsenal AFTV going to 4-3-3, because there's nothing better in my world than switching on AFTV after an Arsenal defeat. There's nothing more joy in my life as I'm sitting there with a German chocolate cake like this, just scramdiddlyocious into my stomach, watching Arsenal fans' head fall off as I'm watching Szoboszlai still run around my living room like this, fucking 4 hours after the game finish. So there we are.
That's not Szoboszlai. That's a man. He's been in your house. Brian, what say you?
Oh, I'm with Kazi right there. It's the most entertaining thing in the world right there. I mean, I sit there and watch Troops TV right there after this weekend. I watched him after our match yesterday, and I watched him from on Saturday. Explode. It's over blood. It's over blood. It's over blood. Ah! I mean, it's the most entertaining thing in the world. I mean, if there's nothing better, and I'll give you right there, Robbie is actually not that bad to listen to right there, because he actually does talk some sense right there through there. But but some of the other guys are there. It's a comedy. It's great. Troops is. I mean, I watched Troops. So when Arsenal came there and played over in Philadelphia a couple years ago, Troops was some of my friends went there and saw Troops there. He was blasting out of his mind, man. So drunk right there. He went to New York and basically didn't make it in New York. Went back to London. I mean, there's lots of things out there. I'm not going to knock Troops because again, like it's entertainment to me. So absolutely no, they don't deserve to be in the room. They need to stay out. And I enjoy tribalism right there, because again, just as much as we enjoy watching their meltdowns, they probably just as much enjoy watching our meltdowns.
Yeah, but ours are more intelligent.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Not by much. This is a tough one, boys, because I can see both of your points, because I do like to switch on an AFTV or whatever it is after a game, and like Kazi, I like to see the fume and the rage. But I'm not entirely sure I can take all the fams and the bloods and the fams and the bloods and the fams and the bloods. It's really annoying, and it's even more annoying when it's even more annoying when it's like white guys doing it, speaking Jamaican patois. I just don't get it. Like it's a tough one. Oh,
we just wait. Let's put our cases forward first. Judge. That's all I'm saying. Hang tight.
It's a tough. This is probably the toughest one so far. But you know what? Unfortunately, if I didn't find out that Claude had passed away, and he was a genuine bloke, old school bloke, he'd have gone straight in. But unfortunately, Susie, you got to hang on to him just a little bit longer.
I'm saying no to everything else now.
So, Brian,
I don't care.
Susie has to hold on to AFTV, but you've been 0 for 3. Are you going to change that record tonight? What is your room 433 entry?
Half and half merchandise.
He's got it.
When I came through and see I saw a picture of the Merseyside Derby with somebody with a half Everton, half Liverpool kit sitting there and sporting it. I can give you half and half. It's like a cup match for a League Two going to a Premier thing, but I don't even like that. Half and half merchandise right there should be never used. A Man United Liverpool, half and half. Get rid of half and half anything right there. You support one team right there. Don't buy that merchandise. Buy like your program right there that says you played there. Don't ever wear that crap.
Oh man, you know what? I always made the thing on this room 433 that I would always rebuttal it, even if I agree. I would always rebuttal, but I think he's got me. I can't rebuttal this. I really want to. I really want to say
I
no.
can genuinely rebuttal this.
Oh, okay. There you go. So I am going to agree with Brian, which is very rarely, but I will agree with Brian on this one. Half and half scarves can go in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Susie.
Brian talked himself out of it, and I'll tell you why. When he said Everton, and the reason being, right, this is the biggest reason why, even if it's just Liverpool and Everton, because of what happened at Hillsborough, and there's family members that lost people on both sides. So, I'm just saying, just purely because of that, I would not put him in room 4.
But every other half and half teams can go in.
But then, when you look at tourists who go like Barack in and on, once in a lifetime thing, they might put it up on the wall and they'll tell their grandkids or whatever. I went to Anfield the day they won the league against Newcastle, and that's where that Liverpool half and half Newcastle. As long as they don't wear it, I don't care. But it's a personal sentimental momentum for them, so that's why I won't put it in there.
Well, see, here's the thing. All rules are made by their exceptions, Susie, and you were doing fine until you gave credit to Annan and Barack, and that was just the spoiling argument. So, Brian, you get to put half and half
my God.
into room 433.
I can at least get one.
Yeah. You can at least get one. Not even Darwin Núñez can do that. Well done, Brian. Cozzy, you've been threatening us with a good time all week. What is your entry for room 433?
I'm going to save me softball. Right, I could go for the easy hat-trick. I could go for the tap-in. I'm not going for the tap-in hat-trick, right?
So you're Louis Diaz.
No, I'm going for the 40-yard perler that I need to explain. My thing to go on 4-3-3 is throw-ins. And let me tell you why. Why do you have to use your hands when you can't use your hands in the rest of the pitch? Why can't you just kick it back into play? It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. You should be allowed to put the ball down and kick it back into play because you use your feet. In this game, you get penalised for using your hands. But I'm okay, though, because you get to dry the ball with a towel. And I get to go like that to the lads to really go far up on this one. And he throws it to the first man because he can't kick a football. We literally made a sport based on kicking to see the quality of a kick of a football. But then when we get to a line, we've got to throw it from here on in. It's absolutely ridiculous. The rules should have been changed that bare for the sport. And it should never have got this far. And I would love to know the reason why it got this far in the first place and why they tried to use hands instead of kicking the ball back into play.
Here's my thing on it, being Irish. I've seen Gaelic football and played Gaelic football, and they're all kick-ins. And essentially, it becomes Wimbledon, basically. Everything just goes in the mixer from the halfway line and a little bit. I think actually from the halfway line, because I think the Gaelic football pitch is a little bit longer than the soccer pitch. So I'm going to hear what the two lads are. I'm not going to pass judgment on it, but I will say that I have seen where there's no throw-ins in a field sport from the sides, and it just ends up being put it in the mixer. So that's my reasoning for now to say that, to be cautious about it. But I want to hear what Brian and Suzie have to say.
So has this been done with indoor soccer in the U.S. before right there, where we actually they got rid of the throw-in and it actually sped up the game and actually caused the game to have a higher precision? So I'm going to go with Kasi right there, because I think right there that definitely right there, I think that throw-ins right there are it's kind of one is a stalling thing, and why the hell is there a throw-in coach? That's one of the things right there. I never have comprehend why we have a throw-in coach right there that was the big thing about 2 seasons ago. Because remember, they're perfecting their throw-ins to this thing right there. Why? What is that mess? So that may be another topic for another one of my 4-3-3s like that, about those type of things. But anyway, I think that it speeds the game up, and I think it makes it a little bit more meaningful. I don't see somebody for like 1 minute jostling around here doing this and doing this. Just kick the ball into play and move on. So yes, I'm with you, Kazi.
Suzie, what say you?
Firstly, the throwing coach wasn't to teach people how to throw the ball. It was how to defend it, and that's why Liverpool took him on. Because before we had that throwing coach, the goals that we were conceding from not having the ball and from the opposition getting a throw in, and we didn't. Or when we did have a ball, and our players weren't finding positions, and we were losing it, and we were conceding goals from them. So it was a smart move to get a throwing coach. It wasn't to throw the ball; it's how the players to position themselves.
Okay.
Secondly, the throw-ins. It's been part of the game from day one, and it's not handball because the ball is outside the pitch. So it's just part of the game. It's, what are we going to change next? Not having kickoffs after, after someone scores a goal, or not having goal kicks. Like, no, it's part of the game. Why change something that's been there from day one? If you're going to change anything, change referees. But no, throw-ins are part of the game. And Sabidia made the best throwing people ever. And he's like, you put the ball in the hands and you spring them back. That alone, throwing should not go in.
Okay, Mark, and let me rebuttal these two rebuttals here, right? The reason why I'm saying this, and this is important, Mark, I'm talking about putting the ball on the ground, not kicking out my hands, right? You will not be allowed to kick out your hands. It won't be Wimbledon, because most of these Premier League players can't even kick the ball 30 yards. So let's get that out the fucking way, because they're all crap. Number two, it's been part of the game. So is thousands of other things that we've all got rid of. Literally got rid of, including FA Cup replays, as confirmed last week. You're now in Rome 4-3-3. So we need to get with the times. Football is about using your feet. Why are we allowed to throw it in? Liverpool have to hire a goalkeeping coach because another team found a way, because they can't beat us with their feet, to throw the ball like this. That to me, because you can't beat us with your feet, you've now found this little outlet. I find it absolutely asinine. We should never have games in the first place.
Let me play reductio ad absurdum with that point, though. If football is played with the feet, do we stop goalkeepers from using their hands as well?
Absolutely not, because we don't understand the reason why. It's like handball. The reason why we have the handball rule is so a player can't pick up the ball and run 60 yards to the other goal and put it in the net. So that's why are the players using their hands for throws?
Here's my fly in the ointment, though. If we got rid of throw-ins and it was all kick-ins, how do you think the game is going to go when the ball's on the sidelines?
What do you mean?
Every single attacking team is going to hit it off the legs of the opposition defenders to win the throw-in, because they're going to get a free kick 40 yards out.
No, that's what they do now. They throw it to the player. Hang on a second.
Yeah,
when there's like 1-0 minutes to go, they go to the corner flag, they throw it to the teammate, they hold the ball off at the fat ass anyway. So they do the same shit anyway.
But if you get we're talking about like Sean Dyche type managers who will say, we only need to get 20 yards up the field, hit it off one of their legs, and we'll smash the ball in the box.
Do you know what you do? You stand 20 yards further back from the kick in and let them kick it in. Because it has to touch on a player before. It's like a free kick. You can't pass to yourself.
Correct.
Yeah, but there's like 27 throws ish per team each.
So
game.
do you think?
So there's going to be 27 free kicks.
So George, do you think then that would actually go down because you won't get opposition players who are defending the lead trying to kick it into touch, and then they all jog up nice and slowly, and then they got to clean it with the shirt, and they got to do this, and they got to do that with their hands. Don't you think that'll make it quicker? Does that make the game quicker?
Yes.
You don't think that players that have to tactically adjust to this? Because now, if I'm a defender and I kick this out to play for a throw-in, it's no longer a throw-in, because Liverpool are going to get Mo Salah or Trent Alexander-Arnold kicking the ball into our box instead. I actually think it'll actually speed the game up and the ball will be in play more.
I agree, and also right there, I won't have to hear any people start talking about Roy Delap anymore right there, because it's the only thing that he's ever known for.
Right now, that man is a saint.
I know.
Rory Delap is a saint, an Irish hero.
The one thing you might have with is Rory Delap, but he's no longer around anymore because he's from a bygone era of football, which should no longer be allowed.
Well, I think you made some good points. I'll be fair on that, but here's why I won't put it in, Cozzy. Have a look at Ronnie Whelan's goal in the 1988 Euro Cup.
A bygone era.
Doesn't matter. It was a fantastic day. We beat England 1-0, and then we got a nice throw in from Mick McCarthy right onto Ronnie Whelan's shins into the top corner. And you wouldn't get that if we had an
absolute bygone era. Ban all throw-ins. I'm sorry.
Well, you're not gonna. You got to keep it. Tough luck.
Yes.
First loss for Cozzy.
I'm having you softball now. I'm taking this all next week. This is horseshit.
Oh man. I love a good long throw in, and I love Roy Delap. So you picked the wrong one there for that one. You should have went with your softball. that didn't involve a famous story. See, we don't have that much success because we haven't won a World Cup in 1966. We take our glory when we can get it, and unfortunately for Ireland, it's long throws.
Oh, long throws, though. Look how depressing your fucking game has to be if your whole soul is long throws. My
Andy Townsend in central midfield. What are you talking about?
I want to see a Trent.
Ray Howden, Whelan, yep.
Awful. Go on.
Yeah, we had Andy Townsend and Matty Holland at one point. Don't forget.
Matty Holland, man. Wow.
Yeah. That was Ireland's midfield. But yes, that was fun. I have to say it was an idle thought that we had. It was a pre-program for Room 101, or in our case, Room 433. But we should probably just do a show about these. They're way more fun.
Yeah.
Who needs to talk about Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall and Ruben Hammer? We can talk about Rory Delap and Ronnie Whelan's shins.
Rory could never go in 4-3-3. I think Rory should be the boy of. Do you know what we should do next Thursday? We should just Rory Delap highlights on YouTube.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah. Take it off the air. But...
The greatest throw-ins of all time.
I think there's a YouTube video called that, and it's all Rory Delap.
For people who don't know, and I'm going to come fans of into this sport, it's Liam Delap's dad.
Liam Delap's dad. Yeah.
It's Liam Delap's dad.
Irish hero. Probably the only person who's found a use for javelin throwing outside of the Olympics, because that's what he was. He was a javelin thrower in school.
There's supposedly a big story of Tony Pulis asked in Stoke training who can throw a ball. Yeah. And he was like, "What do you mean?" I just need to. How far can you throw it? I can throw to the other side of the pitch. And supposedly Tony Pulis is looked at him like he's won the Euro Millions. He's won the ball. I just went, "What?"
Yes.
Gaffer. And then Rory Delap started every game since. I don't even think he was in the squad. And he was like, "Nah, he's in."
And I think the thing about it, he didn't throw it. It wasn't a looped throw. It was like it was just flat. Like
it was darted flat. It was like a corner. And there's a famous video of the goalkeeper kicking it out for a corner instead of a throw it.
Yeah. He literally turns and just kicks it out. Yeah.
That's prime Barclays, as the kids say. Prime Barclays. Unbelievable.
But yeah, what fun we have here in Thursday nights, which is why people should do the sensible thing and like and subscribe us on YouTube. Hit that like button or smash it if you have a non-expensive keyboard. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Smoke Signals, the shortwave radio, if you want to find us there, in amongst the Russian bleeps and bloops that nobody knows what they mean. I love shortwave radio. I had to listen to a Premier League game in the early 90s because we couldn't afford Sky because we were a poor family, so I had to listen to it on. Here's my abiding memory of shortwave radio, BBC Liverpool games is Les Ferdinand scoring. That's all ever. Every time I listen on the radio, Les Ferdinand scored against us again. He's not even playing for that team. He's just scored against us again. Soon this out.
Try explaining to a millennial VHF versus UHF.
Oh my God! There's actually someone who came to the house a couple of days ago. She's 22, and my daughter actually has a tape recorder of her grandma singing from the 70s. And she picked it up and she was like, "How do I turn this off?" And I was like, "Ooh, I'm only 32," and even I was like, "Ooh, like the big red one." You know what I mean? It didn't even have the big red one on it to show you. But there we are.
Stop.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of trips down memory lane you get here on the Thursday night show. So make sure you're watching us every week and commenting as well. We like to see the comments as well. But is there a morning coffee tomorrow? I know there was some debate about it.
Yeah, there is.
There's a morning coffee tomorrow. No games for us this weekend, so I don't know whether there'll be a watch along for FA.
That could be my next option, and you're not going to like it. I like international breaks. Honestly, I'm just going to leave it as that. I like international breaks, and I've got a ready.
Yeah, I like.
We'll put a lid on that one for the next time, but you still have your softball to play. That's your ace in this up the sleeve.
It is.
That's your ace up the sleeve tactic.
But yes, he got 2 in and he messed up.
I did. I went for the long range. I didn't want to tap in. I wanted if I wanted.
You went for the
post and you kicked out.
Went there for a goal kick. But
No, it went out for the flowing, you mean? That's what happened. Yeah.
We will be back next Thursday. The lads will be back on Monday, of course, for the Monday night podcast and the EPL panel show on Tuesdays as always. But lots of great content and entertainment here. None more content and entertaining than us four on the Thursday night podcast. So make sure you join us. And we will see you. Have a great weekend, a restful weekend as we sit 13 points on top of the league. Looking forward to PSG because, you know, that's what we do at Liverpool Football Club and as American Scouser TV and every other Liverpool channel and website out there. We're just the very best of the very best and the most handsomest and, unfortunately, in my case, the baldest. Peace out. Have a good one. Here's the funky music.